covering some parts of Nimba County. I've understood you just returned from district number 8 in Nimba County. We take this break to be back.
Okay. Maram, I beg you, please announce it in diagnosis today. Hurry up and get the car from JEP before they close.
So is that behind my house now? Do you not know that you can get your JEP car on Tip Me app? Tip Me is now in Nimba and Gompa County, Google now. So all I'm going to do now is put money on my Tip Me wallet and just buy my JEP token right from the house here using the Tip Me app.
Sure, we want you to know.
You can also buy your airtime and data bundle from the GSM companies, Orange and Lone Star Cell MTM using Tip Me app. And not all, you can also send and receive money with Tip Me.
But early easy to Tip Me. Visit our branch office in front of Jackie's guest house and our address location around to make your Tip Me transactions.
Welcome back to the program Daybreak Gompa. Daybreak Gompa is a 2-hour 30-minute magazine program that features the voices of newsmakers in Nimba, Liberia, and the rest of the world. This program is proudly sponsored by the MNG Group of companies in partnership with the Maggie Food and Catering Sector. Let me now welcome Councillor Gongloe to our studio. Councillor Gongloe, let me say good morning to you, sir, and welcome to our studio.
Good morning, really. This is my second time sitting in the studio. I'm very happy to be here this morning.
Okay, that's good. Prince, welcome too.
Well, thank you, and thanks for being in time. I mean, the council. Welcome back home. Welcome to Voice of Gompa again.
Okay. So, Council, welcome. How are you?
Fine, but let me first thank the people of Nimba for the rousing welcome I received in Sokopa, Bain, Nimba, and Ganta City. But let me also apologize to the people in District 8 who turned out to receive me at particular times and we arrived late because of the road conditions.
Okay.
And then also the people along the Sanikule Highway in Ganta and in Kitoma, who should have received me yesterday, but because of the road conditions, I arrived in Ganta late and security advised that we should not be on the road in the night.
Okay.
And so, but let them know that this morning, as soon as I leave the studio, I'll be on my way. I will be in Dengamo by 8:30, and then I'll be in Zulu later on. So I'll see them this morning.
Okay. So you are visiting district number 2 today?
I'm visiting district number 2.
Okay. Across district 2 or some parts?
Well, you know, the towns are so many. I'm just going to visit some parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
You care to mention the major places you will visit?
I intend to visit, of course, Dengama, right next door on the main road. So Dengama, Gazului, Bading, Kitoma, and then I'll enter Sanikole. After that, I'll go to Gewi, I'll go to Blazno, Wandavoy, and then maybe Gare and places like that.
So what are you going around? What are you telling the people?
Well, I'm telling them exactly what you just told them. I'm emphasizing on fighting corruption. You know, in fact, my message is based on 3 key areas. Strengthening the rule of law, because we need to strengthen the rule of law for the police force to combat crime with integrity. Combating corruption, because if we don't combat corruption, all the things that people have been promising to do over the years, other presidential candidates have not been realized because of the endemic corruption. We have to fight corruption. And I have a 12-count prescription for fighting corruption. It's long. I'm not going to say it on the radio, but I will highlight some parts. And then to expand the economy, we've got to create jobs. We have to expand the revenue base for government to generate revenue to take care of our protection and social services. And these are the things that I've been speaking about, and we'll do that. We generate enough money to strengthen our educational system. Education is the foundation for development in a country. America, China, Malaysia, Singapore, any of the countries, you got to train your young people. And it is government's responsibility. In fact, under Article 6 of the Constitution, it is clearly stated on our Constitution that it is the responsibility of the government to educate the children of Liberia and then to eliminate illiteracy. Therefore, government is obligated to carry on a program of adult literacy for those who didn't go to school, to at least know how to read and write, to be able to sign their name, to know numbers. And then we have to improve the health system. In fact, while I want to just express sympathy to Mrs. Knocker, the wife of Dr. Frederick Knocker, who passed recently, and may his soul rest in peace. And why did Frederick Knocker die? Because the medical system in Senegal is down. There's no real hospital in Senegal. So he was coming.
Is that the reason that you have understood? Is that the facts that led to his death?
Because he was coming from Senegal to Ganta to go to hospital. And he arrived at the hospital virtually dead. Because if there was adequate medical facility in Ganta, Senegal, why would he have left Senegal to come to Ganta? So that means government is abandoning its responsibility.
Councillor Gongloe, from 1847 up to present, the George Weah-led government, people have promised, politicians have promised. How do you hope to change the narrative, the usual promises that politicians make during electoral period? What change can Tiawan Gongloe make if elected?
I'm 66 years old now. I'm 66 years old now. I have not changed. I like to transform. And I think out of the box, outside the box. I don't just go by what is there. Look, you mentioned 1847, and let me come to this. When I became Solicitor General in 2006, I found out that all of the county attorneys in Liberia, except the one in Monrovia, were not law school graduates. They had no training in law, not even correspondence. So, Councillor Gongloe, as Solicitor General for the first time since 1847, before I left the Ministry of Justice, transformed prosecution and brought only law school graduates to be county attorneys in the 15 counties of Liberia. That change, because it was a good change, is still there. All over Liberia today, the county attorneys are law school graduates and they are respected in the counties in which they serve. Before that, the county attorneys that I met there were complaining every day, calling me by phone. Mr. Solicitor General, the police commander in the county does not respect me. Mr. Solicitor General, the immigration commander does not respect me. And there was only one reason: knowledge is power. So I used to tell them, the police commander went to police academy and got training 6 months or even 1 year. You got no training. And when you and he argue over what crime should be charged, he will tell you from the police academy, I learned for this one, this should be the charge. And you had no reference. So, but when I changed them and put only law school graduates, I got no complaint anymore for any county. Because knowledge is power. They were rather teaching the police commanders and the immigration commanders on procedures and the substantive law. So I transformed the prosecution department. It is Councillor Gongloe that brought the SGBV prosecution unit that is now prosecuting people for rape and other domestic violence and all of it. So, because in 2007, in my annual report to the government of Liberia, to the Ministry of Justice, I said, rape and sexual-based violence is getting rampant in this country. We have to focus on it. And to exclude it from general prosecution, we need to create a department for SGBV prosecution. And the Minister of Justice at that time, Councillor Philip Banks, endorsed it, took it to the cabinet, and was endorsed. And the money was put in the budget, the unit was created. I interviewed the first employees, the head of the department. At that time, the first head was Felicia Coleman, a former associate justice. God needed an experienced person to set the tune for younger lawyers, and she did well. I interviewed the first set of lawyers, the case liaison officers and everything, made sure it started working. And it happened just before I was elevated to the position of a cabinet minister, Minister of Labor. And at Labor again, I transformed labor. I introduced a new labor law that is called Decent Work Act. The Decent Work Act has 3 months for any female employee working with a company who gets pregnant. 3 months maternity leave. We even have for the first time paternity leave on our labor law, where you get 5 days paternity leave as a man when your wife delivers to stay with him, and the company cannot dismiss you. And then we have what I call compassionate leave. That's not named directly, but to give you time to spend 5 days with any family member who is severely ill, and you cannot be dismissed. Then the most important aspect of workers' right, the right to strike. Before, under the old labor law, strike was illegal. Under the new labor law that is called Decent Work Act of 2015, strike is legal. Because strike is the only thing that workers use to put pressure on management to negotiate. So that is a right. And that law is there. And it was the first decent work law in the world based upon the ILO Convention on Decent Work. And I Labor Ministry, I issue regulation number 17. What is it about? The employers in this country were employing more foreigners than Liberians. And I called them to a meeting at Minister of Labor. I said, y'all look at the intersection of Broad and Randall Street, the young people park up there all over. This is a cause for undermining. This is something that could undermine the peace. If the young people are in the street and they are not employed, something will happen. They'll get into crime and all of that. So employ them. They told me, no, Liberian young people are lazy. They can steal. They sell all the negative things. That's all right. I called my team together at Ministry of Labor, and they all agreed with me. I said the only thing that will make these people employ our people is to make the employment of foreigners difficult. So I increased the work permit fee from $400. It had been $400 for more than 10 years. So I increased it from $400 to $1,000 US. And all of my staff agreed. So I took it to the president approved, and we issued a regulation. As soon as we issued a regulation, really, the number of foreign employees dropped. Because if you have 10 store boys in your store, you pay $10,000 this year. Next year, you pay another $10,000. Because that was eating to their profit, they immediately reduced the number of foreign employees and started employing Liberians. And even the American embassy, the American government that would depend on, they brought me a list of employees from Togo, from Ghana, from other places. I said, I'm not giving a work permit. I'm not a problem. So the president was never, she called me, oh, the ambassador will come see you. I said, Madam President, we will execute our laws, even involving America, because then they will know that we are committed to our laws and we do implement our laws. So the ambassador came, we talked, and then the head of the company that was building the new embassy came and saw a reason that my position was in my national interest to get my citizens employed. She said to me, I don't disagree with you, but our controller and some top people, please. I said, I will give work permit to your top people. But you want me to give work permit to Togolese, Ghanaians, and different people? See, because we build new embassies in these countries and the people have experience. I said, then I will only get work permit on condition that you will make a Liberian counterpart, so that after 1 year, they will have gained knowledge. Because she said to me, one of the wenches, one Liberian wench driver almost killed people in the embassy because they think it's computerized, and he learned wench operation from Lampo or bomb mines way back. It was not computerized, and he pressured him for almost. So I said, okay, so let's have Liberian counterpart. They said, we'll give you even more than that. Every 3 months, we want 15 interns. And then if it works well, we employ them, want to train them. It worked well. In fact, they used to have the 15 interns, and sometimes at the end of 3 months, they would employ the 13. They found that these young people that they were training were good. One of them graduated from AMEU, and he did public administration. But while at the embassy, he learned safety, and he was given a certificate. Do you know when that boy graduated, he never got a job in public administration? He got a job with BRE with a certificate from embassy, and was paid starting salary 600
So
euros.
those are the records
So I'm
of
saying,
the-
so this
what
record,
you have
so
done.
this record is going to take me. They say practice makes perfect, and
So
we
some
say
Nigerian citizens hold the view that one person cannot change or transform our system. Because corruption, like you usually say, everywhere you go, you want to fight corruption, you have your blowing your hand. Even as you say in the studio, I'm seeing it. That you
I
want
carry it
sue
to the State
corruption.
Department.
You want to see corruption across the country. Corruption is very endemic, very deeply rooted into our system. How can you, Tiawan Gongloe alone, transform this system?
Every change in the world has not been started and led by a group. It has been led by an individual. Take the Bible, Jesus Christ. The Muslims would say Muhammad. The civil rights leaders in America would say Martin Luther King Jr. South Africa would say Mandela. Ghana would say Kwame Nkrumah, and they would say Gerald Rawlings. Today, Rwandese are saying Paul Kagame. So, change begins with an individual. And Mahatma Gandhi said of India that be the change you want to see in the world. I am not corrupt. I have never been corrupt. I've been in government. I worked as executive assistant to Dr. Amos Sawyer for 4 years. And during that period, I'm not boasting, but I was seen as so uncorrupt that I would always trust it. Sawyer, up to the time he died, he said, I helped him so much. One time he sent me and one big government official on a trip for 20 days as presidential envoys to go around West Africa. We accomplished our mission in 10 days. So I received $4,500 as per diem for the 20 days. I came back. I went to the Ministry of Finance, and the Minister of Finance is still living today, Francis Capet. Francis Capet, I went to him and said, Minister, I traveled I won a mission for 20 days, but I spent 10 days. So I came to bring back $2,250, which is half of the money I received. He said, but the per diem for you? I said, no. Per diem is money you receive to be used away from your duty station for your lodging, your food, your, incidental. But I'm now on a duty again. I've returned to the country, so I'm only entitled to my regular salary. He said, I don't understand. I think I've been in government for long. Me and the minister argue. I said, I'm not leaving from here until you give me a receipt. He did. He gave me a receipt. The next day, he deposited the money back in the treasury at the National Bank then, which is called Central Bank today. That news spread all over Ministry of Finance. That was 1992. Things were talking. He said, they may return money. But I just felt I was not entitled to it. And that is the life I live as Solicitor General, as Minister of Labor. $1,500 I received to go stop strike a lot. I came back. I used, I think, $115 or something remained. I got my receipt and everything and brought it to the comptroller. The comptroller is still living too. He said, Minister, you brought back change from $500. I said, because I expect you to do the same thing. That is what I did. As the president of the Liberian Bar Association.
Yes, I heard you did it when you went out of the country.
Yeah.
But this is what I hear about you.
Yeah.
Many places I have traveled and across Liberia, what I hear is, Tiawan Gongloe, yeah, he's a good character. But the Liberian society doesn't favor these kind of people. So it will be hard for you to succeed as president in your quest because you present yourself as if you are so transparent like Jesus Christ. So the Liberian society does not accept people like you. What do you say about that?
That is not true. A minority of the people who benefit from corruption and their family members, and they are just a small percentage, not more than 5% in this country. The majority of the people who are suffering from corruption in this country really love my message, and they really want to see this day. That is why I win this election with over 65%. Because the ordinary people. Yesterday I was swamped by young people in Ganta here. I went to the SP gas station to buy fuel. I just saw the young people gathering around the vehicle, and I heard them say, "Oh, we just want to see the man. We're not looking for money. We just want to see the man." And I want to pay for the gasoline before getting them. When I pay, I opened a car to talk to them. They were so happy. Over 100 young people. So it means that who are victims of corruption. Because when we stop corruption, we want to open, for example, technical schools for the young people in the 15 countries. They cannot ride motorbike. By the time you reach 40 years, your bike will be hurting. But if you're a tailor, if you're a mechanic, if you are a carpenter, you are a builder, even after 40, you will still earn money to feed your family. Otherwise it will be burning fast. So the message is very clear, and I believe that the ordinary people who are majority of the voters will follow what I'm saying.
Let me bring you back to Nimba, because all those who are contesting, who have a desire to become president of Liberia, they come from counties. And in your county, you need to have huge support of your citizens. Back home here in Nimba, where you come from, there has been this saying that Nimba is not yet ready to produce president. So you want to be president, why should it be Tiawan Gongloe? And it has not been others in the past.
Well,
Yes.
others have tried.
But the statement has been, Nimba is not yet ready.
I don't know who made that statement.
Some Nimba citizens always say, Nimba is not yet ready. Senator Johnson, for example, was contesting, oh, Nimba is not yet ready.
All right, but Senator Johnson got the support of Nimba. There's no question. He himself knows that, and nobody can discount that. The record is clear. The Nimba people voted for Senator Johnson almost 100%. Yeah? And then the Nimba people all over the counties voted for Senator Johnson through Nimba Quado in every county. And you can see in Bapolo, in River G, those areas that have large concentration of Nimba, even Monserrado, all voted for Senator Johnson. And that has been the record. When the Nimba son is in the race, Nimbayans vote for that Nimba son. Even Dr. Kotu, although he didn't campaign much, but he got substantial votes from Nimba. Nimba people voted for him. He himself alive, when he was alive, he said, I appreciated Nimba people because I didn't even campaign. I only announced in Ganta that I was running. And without going all over, because he didn't have the resources to go all over, the people still voted for him. When Jackson Doe ran, Nimba voted for him almost 100%. I was part of that campaign. I was young. I was in my, I think my late 20s, and I was campaigning for Jackson Doe. I remember that's why I used the style he used the other day. Entering Ganta, I was on a pickup because entering Ganta, entering Sanikule, we were behind, walking behind the pickup, but his vice presidential candidate, the late Emmanuel Skroma, the late Moses Dropu, and somebody else. 4 of them stood at the back of the pickup for people to see them. The same thing in Sanikule for visibility. I saw that happen. I saw the momentum, the enthusiasm of the Nimba people. And I'm like Jackson Doe, because the reason why Jackson Doe cut across the country and you even won in Grand Jury in many places was that he had served in positions that covered the entire country. He served 1, Minister of Education. I have been Minister of Labor. Not only that, Minister of Labor, I was solving problems all over the country, going to Kavala, going to lab for labor disputes. But more than that, I was Solicitor General, which made me to travel to the 15 countries, dealing with the county attorneys and dealing with problems in those countries. So it gave me greater visibility. Then I'm a human rights lawyer who has been lawyer for a lot of people all over the country and doing workshops and all of it. Then I've been teaching at University of Liberia. The current vice president of my students, Justice Kaba, Justice Janet, Samuka, many people. Teaching gives you a greater platform. It makes you to relate to everybody. Today I teach in the law school. I've been teaching for about 5 years or more. And the students I'm teaching are telling me, you taught my pa, you taught my ma. And they come from all over Liberia. Okay. So I'm well known over Liberia. And I believe that the Nimba people will support.
We're going to show you by 7:45. My colleague will come with some questions, but let me ask you. This is what we have regularly. Every time there is a story played about Tiawan Gongloe, the citizens of Nimba say, we want for Tiawan and Joseph Boakai to collaborate. What are your views about the collaboration of you and Joseph Boakai?
As a Liberian who loves Liberia, I'm open to all possibilities for the good of Liberia.
To go as running mate?
No. I say I'm just starting. Okay. I say I'm open to the possibilities that are for the good of Liberia. But I've found out, sitting in Monrovia, I thought it was a majority of the Nimba people saying that But you know, in this country, there are Unity Party supporters who work with Unity Party, some of them as commissioners, city mayors, farmer chief, township commissioners, zone chiefs. They lost their job because when the CDC came to power, CDC replaced them. So you have two divided, you have a division here. All the chiefs, the commissioner, the city mayor, the superintendent, everybody who is in government today support CDC. All those who were in those positions before support Unity Party and are hoping that Unity Party could come back to power so they can get a job back. I don't fault them. It's a natural desire to have better life. But then there are other parties in this country, right here from Ganta, Lawrence Suha, who has been running, is an ANC member. He's a formidable force. There are other parties in this country. It is the United Party supporters in this country who have been flagging this. But I came on the ground. Again, I always talk about the minority that come on the radio and the majority. Yeah, me, everywhere I went, Ganta, the people receive me. But for Ganta aside, there's a metropolitan city. I went to Nupuni. The people say, we want our president. We want someone to end what Jackson Doe started. This is the time for Nimba. I was hearing all those sentiments. I went to Bina Plala. I went to Blake. Blake was even, what is song the train Blake raised? Holy Mary, corruption must go. The first time I heard that song in Blake. And Blake, people gave me goat and gave me white chicken and say, we don't want to hear anything about you going second. You better, we want Nimba to produce president. I want to Lao Zao, the former Chief Justice, everybody, the enthusiasts in Lao Zao, the people stood up and I said, who wants me to be president? Whole group stood up. I never heard on the trip in District 8, I never heard one person. I said two, I never heard one person call anybody name, call me Sobwaka or anybody. So that is a view expressed by those who have access to phone and have been lucky to be on the radio. But on the ground, that is not a view.
Okay, so Council, let me ask you about your opinion about the structure of the Joshua-led government. If you check in the government, you have the Ministry of Finance from the Southeast, and you have the Central Bank of Governor from the Southeast, and the list continues. What will it be if you are elected as president? How are you going to structure your government?
I believe in a merit system, but I also believe in implementing a merit system based on the law. Again, we are where we are because of ignorance. George Weah has deepened our disunity and is in no position to reconcile this country because he is carrying on the same thing that brought huge political divide in this country. When the American Liberians were in power, power was exclusively controlled by them. And people didn't like that. Now he has come to power, even though they're better. 3 of the ministers came from Nimba County here. 2 associate justices, Chief Justice, the 2 justices, Chief Justice Blaze and his cousin Jim Bennett from Boa, came from Nimba County here. Those spread the position. Although he was president, the vice president came from Lofa, and there was reasonable spread. But George Weah has accentuated, exclusionist governance by putting everything in the Southeast. He influenced the election of the Speaker. He influenced the election of the President Pro Tem. President Pro Tem and George Weah come from Grand Crew. He influenced the election of the Deputy Speaker, who also comes from Grand Crew. Today on the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice is from Maryland. Another Associate Justice from Maryland. Then there's the 3rd Associate Justice is from Sino. Another Associate Justice, he has a name that is not a Southeast name, is Justice Kaba, but he's a Maningo man from Grand Jetty. So 4 Associate Justices on the Chief Justice and 3 Associate Justices on the Supreme Court are from Southeastern Liberia, which excludes the rest of Liberia. They are not the biggest producers of lawyer. The biggest producers of lawyer now are Nimba, Bon County, and Grand Bassa County. So We hope. I don't know whether the confirmation of George, whether it was carried yesterday.
Yes, he has been confirmed.
Good.
So I just wanted to.
So if he has been confirmed, then at least. But he's an oasis in the desert. He's only one person from different part of the country. He's a good judge. He's been a good judge, and he merits that position.
He merits the position.
Oh yeah, maybe I'm not credible to make that assessment because he was my trainee when he came from law school. I took him to the first jury trial, and then when I became Solicitor General, I hired him as a consultant, and he worked with me as Solicitor General and was good in prosecution. So somebody would say, oh, what you say? You have to train the man, you employ the man work with you. But everyone in the bar knows that George Bracey knows the law and can speed up trials. And so I know that he's going to be like Justice Jana used to be on the Supreme Court. Justice Jana used to write most of the opinions, hard-working justice. To hear cases, sometimes lawyers write, and one of the lawyers who can write long briefs. Like in the grand jury case, I wrote 67-page brief, and the government lawyer, the Solicitor General, wrote 37-page brief. So that 100 pages you have to write, to write a judgment in that case. And Justice Janet used to read all those things. Justice Bracey. He's going to be there like that. He's a hard-working man. He goes to work before lawyers go to. He used to go to the Temple of Justice 6:30. And some case 8 o'clock. His hearing case while other courts are empty. He deserves it. I just hope that. But you know, the Supreme Court is a place to vote. Some of the decisions sometimes can be political. I don't know the Supreme Court Liberia. You know, in America, the Roe versus Wade, where women had a right to abort, that have been there for more than 50 years. Once Trump appointed more conservative justices, they turned that opinion around because they can vote. I don't care how brilliant your judgment is. I don't care how much you know the law. You got to convince the other justices for you to agree. So I know, given the way I know, he's a stubborn person, stubborn in a positive way, that when he believes in something, he will hold his ground. So I can see him giving dissenting opinions many times, you know. But he's committed. And everybody knows he has a knowledge of the law. He's committed to the law, and he's a hard-working person.
Let me also ask you about since you've been touring the country. I know you've been going Gompa, you were seeing in Nimba County. What are those things that you're hearing from the voters? What are those challenges, and what are they putting for?
This broom idea. This is what is going to win the election. Everyone is electrified by the idea of broom. We got to sweep corruption. And you know, the American former ambassador said that corruption can take food from the children more that got them out of school. The President Joe Biden special assistant came in and said the same thing. The current American ambassador said the same thing. The Europeans are saying the same thing. And they see that our government is not prepared to change. So everyone is talking about sweeping corruption. In fact, sweeping the poor in power now from power so that there can be a clean government coming. In Grand Bazaar, we marched in the street, and they were having a football tournament in my honor. I just went there for a day. We marched in the street from the Welcome to Buchanan to the fairground. And by the time we reached the market, all the women came outside with big brooms. We were sweeping corruption, we were sweeping them from power. So I don't need to say anything, but
are they sincere because they see strangers, they gotta welcome the strangers?
No, they are very sincere. They are very sincere. Look, majority of the children in this country are out of school because of school fees, and their parents are getting poorer every day. The market women say that the money they used to make 3 years ago, even 5 years, 6 years ago, is not the money they make now. What they used to make, even Honor Ellen, although she was corrupt, things were tough, but they say the money they used to make, Honor Ellen, it takes 2-3 months to make now. I mean, they used to make one day. It takes 2-3 months to make it. So it means that the poor are getting poorer. Imagine even teachers, nurses, police officers, and other people who are pensioned. When you are pensioned, it means you serve your country well. They're not paying them, and they are suffering. These people got children, grandchildren who go to school. So, and they know that they are not receiving a pension pay because of corruption. There are different reasons. People go to the hospital, no medicine. Different reasons. The roads are bad. When I was growing up, I never heard that from Kipama to Monrovia, people cars were hitching, or from Fatima to Banga cars were hitching, because the roads were maintained by public works. Because public works had yard in every county. Ganta here had public works yard. LPP had, Tapeta had, all these places, and they were doing routine maintenance and intervening whenever they saw something. So people are moving freely. Free movement is a right. Government is violating our right to move freely. So people are electrified by my statement of Broom and by my track record.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gongloe. Finally, because we don't have time, Liberians are used to getting money or material things before they can support somebody. You move around. Politics in Liberia right now is costly financially. How prepared are you in terms of money to run your campaign across the country?
Well, I believe in campaign time I'll have money, but I tell you that I've not spent 1 cent of my own money, even to come to Uganda, to go to America. People who know me, who have known me for the past, who have been more than 20 years, people have been telling me to run for presidency. When I was arrested and tortured and jailed and tortured by Taylor when I came out of jail, even some embassies have come and said, you got political capital, look at thousands of people in the street for you. I said, I'm not ready. And God made me to get ready by, I worked with the president of Liberia for 4 years. So I'm the only presidential contender in the history of Liberia that has worked in the presidency and know what it means to be a president. I was speech right now.
What about Joseph Boaka?
He never worked in the
vice president for 12 years.
Vice president, you work in the Senate. You are president of the Senate. You have nothing to do with day-to-day operation of government. No way. I work in the office of the president. I was writing speeches for soil. I was attending OAU meeting that became African Union. I wrote speeches for ECOWAS. I went to the General Assembly. When I was sitting with him talking with the president, I know how to talk with other presidents, how to raise the issue. I used to sit there in the meeting as a young man. So I learned. I was an apprentice under Dr. Sawyer in terms of learning presidency. So I'm well prepared. And because of the various experiences, everywhere I go, when I'm in Bonkande, I was surprised. I go to the town, somebody get it. Yeah, I know that man did this thing for me. The most striking one in Zowentown, 2 presidents got and testified for things they say I forgot it. It was to me like they were lying, but I'm good thing, so I didn't object. In a place called Koikawatown, one man brought chicken. He said that Councillor Gongloe got me living well today. I have 3 drugstores because of him. He said that he was working with an NGO, he got wounded. The NGO car was somewhere, they had accident, he got wounded, he got fractured. And the NGO said, well, we'll pay our social security. Social security was doing nothing. And he came to me, I wrote a letter and went and visited the Director General. And then after that, they sent him to Ghana. I forgot all that story. They sent him to Ghana, they treated him, he was there for a month or so, he was well treated. When he came back, Social Security then said, we'll give you $750 every month until you die. He said, that's why I'm not working, I'm looking good like this. Everywhere I went, that's in Bon County, I was getting these testimonials, and they are videotaped. And I felt good about it. The same thing in America. People in America, Liberians in America, not just in Bayern, Liberians from across the 15 countries in America say, but come to America so you can tour America. President Salif, President George Weah, President Tobo. No president I ever gone to America and gone to even 7 states on one trip. On one trip, I went to 12 states. I had plenty of money. That money was going in my pocket and over 200,000. They bought my ticket. They said, when won't you pay anything? $160 for visa fee. As a lawyer, I can pay. I pay, they send it back to me. They say this trip is 100% sponsored by us. I went to America. I visited every state I went to. I have friends. I said, let me see my friend. No, we'll put you in a top hotel because when Joseph Boaka come here, they put them in good hotel. We don't want our own campaign to look like cheap campaign. We'll put you in the same hotel they can sleep in. Tala Gompa, for example, in Minnesota, she put me in a suite in a place. I said, I don't know how to use somebody's material. I mean, I'm not saying you'll be there. We're trying to make you president. So it is people who are, I'm coming here, somebody gave me gasket. somebody give me gas slip that is enough to cover the strip. I got some in my pocket. Maybe I'll give you one cent. I'll give you one. So people are investing in what they consider to be good.
You don't have your own money, but people are willing to sponsor you.
Where I got money from being a poor man, I would never be ashamed to say I'm a poor man.
Thank you.
So finally, from my end, your own institution, your own profession you come from, how are they, feeling about your candidacy?
They are so happy. Look, the Bar Association members love me so much that when my time ended, they elected my vice president. They said we want the Gongloe administration to continue. They elected my vice president right in Ganta here, and they re-elected my treasurer. So they said that the president and the treasurer control the money. The way the men set up a good accounting system, I was able to start billing the headquarters. I built one story of the ground floor of the 3-story building is there. They will soon be using it. And then I elevated the practice of law. Really, before I became president of bar, anybody will put on court, then they go to court and say they're a lawyer. But I introduced the licensing system. Here's the license. For you to acquire this license, you must fill a form. That form says where you're money, where you're buying, where you're from, because of poor naturalized. Are you a Liberian citizen? Yes. Are you naturalized? If you are naturalized, attach a copy of your naturalization certificate to these people. So, we had in our Buduki case, the Nigerian case, right? So, you put it there. Are you a law school graduate? Yes. What law school you graduated from? Attach a copy of your degree. A photocopy of your degree. Are you admitted to practice law in Liberia? Which country? Attach a copy. Are you council law?
Are you reducing your colleagues, denigrating them?
Council law? No, we're improving the practice of law for service to the people of Liberia. Because people were just, and the non-lawyer, the quite lawyer, the way they used to charge people, an easy thing. So then the last thing, have you paid all your dues and levies? Yes. If no, you are rejected. If no to any of these questions, you don't get license. So people who graduate from law school, who have not paid their bar dues, some of them in the middle of the cases, the lawyer say, Your Honor, the man shouldn't be here. He has no license. When the judge, where your license? He said, no license. Your case is hereby dismissed. So because of that standard I brought in the bar has raised so much money. We used to, when I entered the bar, we used to be begging UC, UNDP, everything, who assembly, convention, all of that. This time we don't beg because the bar has enough money based on the system that I introduced.
Okay.
Rule of law always can bring money.
Thank you very much. You want to finally conclude in your maybe dialect, some of the dialects. Usually I hear you speak some dialects whenever you're recruiting people. Yes or no?
Mami akavoe, example makabwa, the Madingo people, Nisoma, the B people, Moine, the Penny, the crowd for Naro, the Pena people here, Janwe.
And that's the way
we are.
behave.
That's where we are.
That's the way politicians behave, so that you control the spirit of the people.
They are my people. I know as an international worker that language can attract people. When I work in Ethiopia, in South Africa, I learned, I was working in they call it Kosa, in the Kosa area, XHOSA. You say Molo, Kujani, Ndipeleni, Kozi. That's good morning, how are you? And you say, the Bantu language. So they say Molo, they say Molo. Then they ask you, Kujani, how you doing? You say, Ndipeleni, Kozi. All right, thank you, Kozi. Then, and by the time they want to go to the night, no, that all I can say, oh, how good, that's good, you are trying. Then any information you want, they will give it to you. The same thing in Ethiopia when I worked there, say, good morning. Then you answer. And then when they want to go further, you say, that's far. Oh, you're trying. So I found out that when you speak poor language, it can open the door. Because you are trying to accept them, to appreciate them.
Councillor Gongloe, thank you so much for sitting with us this morning on our platform here in Nimba. Thank you so kindly. We wish you well.
Thank you.
It's Councillor Tiawan